Okay, so while I show you my brother's water-based oils, I just thought I would talk a little bit about, for those of you who might be new to looking for a therapist, what you can expect, excuse me, from that world. So Mitch always put his name on everything, and he loved boxes. The more compartments, the better. All kinds, plastic, wooden, metal, cigarette boxes, cigar boxes. He loved them. So, in general, and again, not a medical professional here, a psychiatrist is going to be your medical doctor who has specialized in the brain, and they primarily focus on medicine and how it relates to your brain function. So these are the people who are going to monitor any medications that you may be put on. They'll do a little bit of talk therapy with you, and by that I mean sit down and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of revealing your thought patterns and your history and what is going on in your thought patterns and how they're impacting your mood, etc. They're mainly going to be talking medicine. And they can be quite difficult to get into. I live in a small town and we've got like 3 psychiatrists, and the waiting lists can be ridiculously long. So these are water-based oil paints. And what I love to take them out and touch them because I can feel exactly where Mitch squeezed. I can feel his thumb in almost every tube. Some of them are hardening up. Yes, it makes me sad to think that these will never produce another work of art. Here, this one's a really good example. You can see exactly where he squeezed the tube. I can just feel him, in that moment. So, next up you have your psychologist. Psychologist is somebody who definitely they can do talk therapy. Oftentimes they're the people who do studies on large groups of school children, or they study how the brain operates under this scenario, and they can do lab clinical work. But more often lately, they definitely are available for private service talk therapy. Now, the most common one that you're probably going to come into contact with is your social worker. They have a master's degree in social work. They've been trained primarily in talk therapy. These are the ones, depending on their style, and there's a million different styles of therapists that you'll go to where you can sit, talk. Some do a lot of talking. Some let you do all the talking. And this is the point I want to emphasize the most, is that fit is really important. Just because you've gone to a therapist doesn't mean that they're the best one for you and that you should stay with that therapist. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to try different types. I found a therapist for my brother in Las Vegas who was mindfulness-based. She was a Buddhist-based therapist, which needn't scare anyone off. You can be a practicing Christian and participate in mindfulness work, even though it has its roots in Buddhism. That doesn't mean that you're playing with witchcraft or voodoo. And if you're somebody who has not done a lot of therapy throughout your life, somebody who doesn't tend to look at yourself introspectively, I think talk therapy can be very beneficial because it really can reveal things to you that you don't even realize that you're doing. You know, for example, I used to use the word just a lot. I just have my bachelor's degree, and well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, and I just do this. And I didn't even realize I was using the word just all the time, and it took a therapist to point it out to me, and they were like, you know, you're sort of qualifying everything that you do with this word just, and it's never good enough. And I was like, oh, wow. And that was pretty interesting because I'm somebody, and my brother was as well, who spends far too much time thinking about our own psyche and ourselves. And so therapy can be challenging for somebody like that because, not to say that if you're not introspective, you still want to have a good therapist, but when you are someone who's used to picking yourself apart and looking at things backwards and forwards and from the inside and the outside, you have to have a damn good therapist because you're going to be 10 paces ahead of them. And Mitchell always was. Therapy did very little to help him because it didn't reveal a whole heck of a lot. So, you have to find a good fit. And, yep, that's all I have to say about that, I think. Don't be afraid to try people out. It's not personal, but it's got to be comfortable.